Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Mythgard and Middle-earth. My name is Corey Olson, the Tolkien professor, joined as always by my friend Gryfflet, who decided if they went to all that trouble to bring a chair to this cave, he was at least going to see that somebody sat in it. You know, I mean, he's been waiting in this cave again, hanging out with these lovely people. You know, they just Beba prefers to sit on the floor, which, you know, that's like cool for her. So, anyway, Beer Tor refugee over there, is still just like not having any of it. So Huna is a little standoffish. Not gonna lie, but standing there with his back to everybody else. But he's gotta be himself there. All right. So we are here to turn in quests. Right at the end of the last stream, Gryfflet finished the initial round of quests from this cave. So let's go. I don't remember which one belonged to which, but we'll see. Oh, here we go. All right. Let's see. It is as I feared. I guess you weren't the firewood guy. Huna's face sinks and he turns to look to the others before shifting back to you. So, then we are trapped in this cave. Oh, right. He was the one who wanted us to figure out scout the ways out. We are trapped in this cave and the enemy lurks just outside. Curse that monster. I cannot believe what Huna's eyes begin to fill with tears, but he composes himself quickly. Your efforts are appreciated, even if we must remain here for now. If you can aid us further, I and others would be so grateful. Sure. I thought there might be some more to do. Okay. Beba, you were the one who wanted clothes off of dead orcs, weren't you?
I'm afraid of what is happening to these lands.
What a horrific stench. I know not the scent's origin, and yet it overpowers everything. How foul those orcs are. Still, I would rather stink of their filth than end up frozen in this cave. Thank you for your aid. I shall begin tailoring these garments, she says with air quotes, into something more befitting of my people. All right. And Leodwald.
I do not know if we will survive this onslaught.
It is sorrowful to hear of the fates that befell some of my kin. This forest is a sorry place to meet one's end, and to such creatures. Although I am glad to see these three among our number again, I fear that we too are simply awaiting a similar fate here. If you would remain here with us, I am certain there are more ways you could aid us still. Kind of thought there might be. All right, Huna, what do you have to say about what I can do to help? Okay. I know not what to do. We have been away from our kinsmen for too long now, and the chill of this place has overcome us all. With the orcs patrolling constantly, there remains little hope of our escape unless something can distract them. But I would not ask you to stand against them, not yet. Before the others and I lost our way, we saw the glow of many torches in the distance. I knew well of the presence of the enemy in this wood, so we strayed far from their warmth. Straight. The orcs must feel this chill too. If you were to scout along the eastern edge of their roadway, perhaps we could learn more of their purposes here. Were I you, I would avoid traveling their path. Their numbers overwhelm even the hardiest of warriors. Oh, that is to say, look out, there's a warband on the path? Yeah, I noticed them. Varg. I'm not into him. Search the roadway for signs of the orcs' plans. Search the roadway for any foes the orcs face. Scout we saw a foe, right? Scout the roadway for sign of an orc leader. Oh, well, that I've also established. Destroy torches at the roadway's edge. So he's probably not the one maybe that they're thinking about. Okay. Destroy torches. All right. I can do this. No problem. Okay. Sorry, I am preparing because there were some lore quests, so I wanted to, or lore questions, I suppose, of a sort, that I wanted to figure out here. Okay. All right. Let's head off here. Okay. I like the Balewood. I mean, it's annoying to navigate in. Don't get me wrong. It's the combination of really dense trees and unexpected cliffs, but it's pretty. Sure is very nice. Okay. And they are really big trees. I mean, I know I'm a hobbit, but still. Okay. Let me look at the map here. All right, we got everything up here along this side, and there's where the epic is taking us. So let's continue the quests out here. In the meantime, I'm going to do my first lore question from JJ. JJ was asking in the Riddles in the Dark podcast. That was a long time ago, JJ. I believe there was mention of the chapters Not at Home and Fire and Water being switched in different editions of The Hobbit. Which editions had Fire and Water first, as I've only ever seen it as the reveal after Not at Home, or did I misunderstand the point being made? Actually, yes, a little bit. It was the only place where they appeared in the different order was in the original drafts. It was never published that way. He made the decision to do Not at Home before Fire and Water, so that you had the chapter of suspense with them inside the mountain, and then the hearing of the news from Roach, and then finding out what happened. You had that before the actual telling what happened with the dragon. It was always published that way, but it's not how he wrote it originally. And in his original drafts, he had them ordered basically in the order in which he had written them, and decided again. He decided against it. Decided it was better to shift it around. So yeah. So slight, but not very grievous misunderstanding. But that would be why, of course, you've never seen it in an actual published edition, because it isn't. Yeah, well, I didn't think I'd get away with that. Okay. I'm just going to start swinging. I can't really see anybody from where I'm standing, but that's okay. Don't think I necessarily need to. The joys of being slightly over level. Okay. Oh, I didn't even get to destroy the torch, though. That's no good. All right, I'm destroying the torch. There we go. Okay. Other lore question. Okay. Darnock the Mage. During exploring the Lord of the Rings, Darnock the Mage asked this question. What do you think the Mewlips are? That's a really cool question. Actually, let me just make sure first to explain the question to people who might not be familiar with it. The Mewlips, Mewlips. The Mewlips is the name of a poem that Tolkien wrote. It was published in The Adventures of Tom Bombadil. And the Mewlips is actually a really fascinating kind of project by Tolkien from a mythopoeic perspective, from a myth-telling perspective. And I say that because the Mewlips, it was... Okay, so let me finish saying what the Mewlips is. The Mewlips is a poem which is about these, swamp creatures. The Mewlips have this, home in the swamp, and, it talks about how you will sink into the swamp, and all the horrible things that will happen to you. And the Mewlips are apparently cannibalistic and will eat you. They're pretty dreadful. The thing that's so interesting to me, as I say, from a mythopoeic perspective, is that they when he first wrote the poem in the 20s, which is when he wrote a lot of his short poetry, it was a very active poetry composition time for Tolkien. When he did that, he was writing satire. It wasn't like he wasn't doing world building of any kind. It was satire. In fact, it was academic satire. I'm gonna not get it right exactly word for word, I know, but the title, the original title of the poem, was something like on sentiments experienced. On sentiments experienced, like while knocking at the door of an exalted academic colleague. It was a satire of, approaching the door of like a senior academic colleague's office, and like what you're feeling when you knock on it and how you can. Anyway, it's academic satire. It's very funny, but it's not world building. Like, he's not creating, a race. He's not imagining this as part of the world at all. When he included that poem, in The Adventures of Tom Bombadil, the poetry collection that he published in 1960, he basically, as he did with many of his poems, he basically recast it. Wait, hang on a sec. I'm sorry, interrupted by quest text. I don't see a leader, but I see somebody who seems to know him. Okay. What evidence do I have of that, I wonder? Am I overhearing them muttering? I don't know. That seems to me a little bit strange. But okay. Let's see. And I saw that they're having a wood troll problem, so that's not surprising. There's a hardened Uruk up here. Is he the guy? No? No. Okay. That's fine. Now I'm searching for signs of their plans. I wonder... No, I think signs of their plans are further south. I have a feeling they're further south. Anyway, okay. So the Mewlips. So, like I said, he wasn't even inventing creatures. Again, it was satire, right? When he goes to include the poem in The Adventures of Tom Bombadil, he is, by doing so, incorporating it into Middle-earth. He gave The Adventures of Tom Bombadil, which was a collection of poetry that he'd written, some of which he had already incorporated into The Lord of the Rings, often changing pretty significantly when he did so, and some of it not incorporated into The Lord of the Rings. But all of it poetry that he'd written substantially earlier, including, of course, for instance, the original, well, slightly revised version of the original Adventures of Tom Bombadil poems. So, the poem that started the whole Tom Bombadil thing. So again, there were sort of poems that had been incorporated in various ways, but he gave an introduction to it, written as if written from a Shire perspective, right? And kind of contextualizing the poetry in that collection in a specifically Shire-oriented and certainly broadly Middle-earth-based perspective. So, therefore, felled trees. Transporting felled trees north, huh? Okay. I did notice some logging going on down there, so that seems legit. So this was a really cool kind of kind of project because, of course, it involved some very significant changes to some of the poems, and a fairly broad recontextualization of the whole thing. And the Mewlips is one of the most fascinating, I think. One of the most fascinating, I think, and one of the more successful of these recontextualizations, because, of course, what he did, he took this poem, which was originally a piece of academic satire, and recontextualized it as now it's about literal monsters, right? Or rather, he presented it in that way, like this is a poem which describes legends of that hobbits have of these mysterious creatures who originally had no place of any kind in Middle-earth. So the general question, therefore, of what do I think the Mewlips are is really, really challenging, right? Because nothing, on the one hand, right? It's just something that he kind of, I don't want to say shoehorned, but he kind of, sort of fit into Middle-earth way after the fact. So it is certainly not true, if you read the Mewlips poem, it's certainly not true that Tolkien had a race of creatures called the Mewlips in mind, that they were a part of the story but had never gotten into the Lord of the Rings or whatever, and so now he's like, oh, but I'm gonna write a poem about those Mewlip creatures which were totally there all the time, right? But I didn't get a chance to talk. It wasn't that at all, right? Instead, it was a total recontextualization. So anyway, that was but that's not all my answer. But let me talk to Huna here.
I do not know if we will survive this onslaught.
I bring good tidings. Okay, good. Any ill fortune that visits those creatures is all the better for us. Let us see how the orcs handle themselves now. I wager they shall find their troubles insurmountable without the warmth of their torches in this harsh clime. I don't know how much warmth. I mean, light, perhaps. I don't know how much warmth the torches were really providing them, but that's okay. You may yet be able to stand against them. If their carts are halted and they are beset by the wood trolls, there can be no greater time to bring their schemes to ruin. Okay. All right, I'll give you some thinking time, Huna. Oh, well, that was fast. Well, hang on. You have a think. I'll talk to Leodwald. Look at that. Woohoo. Kindred of the people of Wildemore. How about that?
I do not know if we will survive this onslaught.
Huna tells me that you scouted the Orcs' trail and came across their carts entrenched in snow drifts along the road. Did I see carts? I must have seen carts. I was just too busy walking around them, paying attention to the Orcs, I guess. I suppose those monsters are having just as lovely a time as we are. Do not confuse my amusement with sympathy, Gryfflet. The Orcs deserve any trouble that visits them here, as nothing will be enough to avenge Bir Tor and the people that we have lost to them and the giant. But now then, about those carts. The carts are already slowed, but you are a hearty burglar, are you not? If you can get close enough, set their carts ablaze. Okay, burn the carts. All right, I guess I'll notice them this time. Sure, burn the carts. But won't that warm them up? Oh no! Conflicting instructions. I thought we were freezing them out.
These are desperate times for the Rohirrim.
The Orcs' numbers are great, but so are their troubles. Surely a leader of some sort must be among them, and it is he who must be found. Perhaps this Orc carries some sort of plan or orders, brutish as their kind may be. The forces of the White Hand choose a strange place to stage their assault of Bir Tor and the other halls of my kin. I am curious what their purpose here might be. I must admit, Gryfflet, I am fearful that he may be guarded by the strongest of his number. If we are to learn the Orc's purpose here, you must discover any missives he bears, but care must be taken lest you lay down your life foolishly. Oh yeah, no worries. I would ask that you lure him from the road into the shadows, for it is there his death might go unnoticed. All right, that sounds fairly burglarious. I'll give it a shot. Take heed of my warning. Okay, hey, all right, no problem. Your concern is touching. All right. Burning carts and challenging. Ooh, wait. Cruel whips, wielded by the White Hand, could better serve the people of Wildemore by sweeping warg riders off their mounts. Yeah, can I use it to dismount warg riders? In which case, it will become my favorite weapon. If you were to gather their whips and tie them along the bases of nearby banners, it is possible the vile riders would not notice until far too late and be heaved into the hard ice below. What? Oh, like as a tripwire? Okay. That sounds cunning. I can do the tripwire thing. Okay. So I need slave drivers, overseers, and burning carts. Okay. All right. Like the overseer I just accidentally killed recently, I suppose. Okay. All right, Madman Mallory, you want me to pick his pocket? See if we can do that. I love the luminescent footprints of Núrzum. Okay, successfully burgled a Celebrant salve. There we go. Well, he won't have that salve to... I don't want to think about what he's doing with it. Okay. Boom. Wait, are you the one I'm supposed to lure off the path? I did patiently wait for you to get out of, like, sight of everybody else. Does that count? Or was that just their solicitousness for my health? Okay, here we go. Any orders? No. No body to loot either. Okay, fine. So anyway, I was talking about Mewlips. That's what I was talking about. Okay, right. So one simple answer to the question, what do I think the Mewlips are, is nothing. But that's a horrible answer, of course, because like I can go on not protesting exactly, but I can go on pointing out that you know, the Mewlips weren't part of the original plan, you know, for Middle-earth all day, and it doesn't change the fact that they still did get, like, in a sense, included in it. I say in a sense, of course, because he never, like, thoroughly worked them into the story or anything like that, but still, by including them in the Adventures of Tom Bombadil and by including them in the Adventures of Tom Bombadil and you know, including the introduction there, okay, I was going to say, why is the backpack still there? You know, he at least implicitly, right, included them in. So, therefore, they should be explicable. So, let's explain them. I think, as I suggested just now, the most sensible explanation of the most sensible explanation of the Mewlips is as a Hobbit legend. We don't really see anything like the Mewlips, so I don't really know exactly how to context. They're like slightly Gollum-like, but I have to admit that strikes me as a vague-ish sort of descriptor. I've heard them called such before. That they're vaguely Gollum-like. But, yeah, meaning what? They're, like, not huge, and they're kind of slimy, and... what is going on here? Oh, okay, sorry. I thought I was supposed to loot the body. Orcs of the White Hand press their invasion by utilizing an icy roadway. I noticed that. Orcs must be slain. Oh, so just kill a bunch of orcs? Okay. All right. Reckon I can do that. Okay, so back to the Mewlips. Gollum is not really like a species so much as he is, an individual, right? And a fairly unusual individual with a fairly unusual background. So, are there some similarities between Gollum and the Mewlips? Sure, of course there are some similarities. Did I get any orders? No? Okay, now I killed the overseers. Oh, now I have to find the leader. Okay, I was looking for the leader. All right, no problem. I'll keep looking. Anyway, all right. Right, so yeah, I sometimes I hear people refer to creatures as Gollum-like, and that just kind of generally means they're like small, often associated with water, a little, sort of like sneakier and oh, that's a troll. Never mind. You're fine. Keep killing orcs. Unless you're throwing rocks at me. In which case, we're gonna have words. I think. Anyway, so but whatever. The Mewlips live in marshes. There are actually not that many places where we find marshes. So I think, like there's the marshes on the eastern edge of Mirkwood, the ones that Bjorn's elf path through Mirkwood ends in. In that disadvantageous way, which makes the river the superior path through the forest. But anyway, yeah. So that's. Oh, hey, look, a cart. That's one. Another marsh, of course, would be a sort of marshy area, possibly along the river, the Anduin, I mean. So my theory about the Mewlips is that, the Mewlips poem stems from the time when the hobbits were living along the Anduin from Gollum's clan, basically, near the Gladden Fields. I don't need any overseers anymore, thank you. Yeah, so I don't actually believe that the Mewlips exist. I don't think that they we should expect to find any. I think that they are monstrous creatures of sort of Hobbit fantasy and legend. And that's where the poem comes from, as an interesting sort of, remnant of the time when they lived, a remembered tale from when they were living in that place. Yeah, Phil is saying, wouldn't it be fun if the Mewlips were actually Gollum, as told by his family after he left them? Yes, that would be fun. That would take a lot of believing for me, but I kind of like it. I mean, it would be interesting for sure. Okay. Okay. Oh, there's the fastening point. Okay, right. I forgot. Now I've got the a tied. Aha. Yeah. Okay. It is the tripwire thing. Okay. All right. Very good. Yeah, so I could see. Another question just came in, I believe, here. Yes. Okay. Question regarding Wraiths. Nazgul returned to Sauron, but other spirits like Kargul or Amdir and Lotra, would they get a second chance or would they linger? Really interesting question. Okay, let's see. Well, let's not forget... all right. So... boy, how many overseers am I going to end up having to kill? First, let's talk about the Nazgul returning to Sauron. The Nazgul return to Sauron because they're not destroyed, right? You know, the Ringwraiths themselves are not so easily destroyed, Gandalf says. So their horses were destroyed. And so without them, they were crippled. They had to, you know, they didn't like have to disembody themselves or something. They were never bodied, right? So they were inconvenienced, and routed. And so they returned to Sauron. But they weren't like harmed directly by the flood. They were just chased off, essentially. Okay, so this... oh, really? We're doing this? Of course, because overseers. I guess, though, honestly, it's like the overseer's job, right? The fact that they're, in fact, overseeing so much suggests that they're actually reasonably competent. As in fact, very little is happening on this road that they're not aware of and coming to fight me constantly. So I guess, you know, positive report on their efficiency. Okay, so Wraiths. Okay, so what happens to the Ringwraiths after the flood isn't necessarily indicative of like what normally happens when a Wraith is defeated or destroyed. We really don't get very many examples of that. The only one we get, in fact, is the Witch King. Because the Witch King is killed, and he doesn't get a second chance. He does not merely return to Sauron, right? I mean, you get your where? I have? Where did I find a well-armed orc? All I see is another... oh, it must be the hardened one. I was right. It was him. Right. So anyway, he's the only one we see killed, and he does not return to Sauron. He just takes off, right? So, you know, they hear his spirit departing, and he doesn't get a second chance. So any Wraith, therefore, that is, you know, that is actually destroyed, any Wraith that is killed, is gonna have a similar experience. So that's pretty clear. It's, you know, one of the kind of implied questions, you know, kind of bound up with that. Sorry, well, hang on a second. Oh, there's another one? Lowmore. Oh, there he is. Okay. Sorry, I gotta pay some attention to the quest text, or I'm gonna... He's hiding behind his axe, so he's named, but he's shy. I won't judge you, Lowmore. Cut you off at the knees? Yes. Judge you? No. Yeah, so anyway, one of the kind of like implied elements of this question, Squirrel, is did I get them all now? Okay. I did. Oh, look, I can advance it from here. A slightly damp missive. Okay. You take the orc missive from Lowmore's corpse. All right. How do I look over it? I can't. No? I guess I take it. Oh, wait. Probably in my loot? No. It's not in my loot. Oh, yes it is. Smudged orders. You know, I really appreciate the cue from the in-game text to check my loot, my pending loot for a quest item, rather than making me kill Lowmore 18 times. And speaking of which, let me get out of here before he regens. Okay, this smudged missive contains an extensive list of resources demanded from Wildermore by Isengard. Among this list is an extreme amount of lumber, a much-needed material to fuel Saruman's forces at Orthanc. Okay, beneath the neatly written message there appears to be a hastily scrawled note, a product of a far less trained hand. It reads, "Send the small ones to make the first cut. Too many trees attacking our force. If the tree moves, leave the small ones, flee and find another. We lack the numbers and time for another incident. Never tell the wizard of this. Will not explain losing so many orcs while felling a tree. Do not wish to be the next slain. Sending hewers northeast of this position to clearer area where the trees looked like trees. The wizard will have my head if we don't deliver the lumber to the forest's edge soon. You should return to Hona and seek his counsel on this matter before continuing your assault." Okay. Okay. Hashtag orc problems. Okay. So that's really funny, actually. If we think about this in the context of where they are in the narrative right now, all the tying up points are below here, right? Okay. If we think about this of where we are in the context of the narrative, Saruman has forgotten about the Ents, right? So he's forgotten about the Ents, and the orcs could remind him of them, right? By complaining about the issues that they're having with the lumber fighting back. But they don't, because they're afraid they're going to get in trouble. Because, they're afraid that they're going to, get killed by Saruman through impatience with their incompetence. How could they lose so many orcs just at the, at the felling of a few trees? So they're his own, impatience with the orcs, his own, the sort of the cruelty with which he's treating them is leading directly to his own lack of information about the Ents. I kind of like that. I think it's a really fun element of the story. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Likely about. I like the sort of the irony that they've inserted into this. Okay, all right. Stumbling in the dark. I have cleverly employed the enemy's cruel implements against their riders. Yeah, there's some irony there, right? Also, likely a bot. The White Hand will be slowed in their advance into Wildermore, lest more of them meet their end on the forest's icy floor. Cool. Awesome. Another overseer. Seriously. Okay. So, again, the implied question here, which we should probably address, is what is a Kargul? Karguls, of course, like that word isn't used in Tolkien. You know, what is there any kind of authority for a creature like that in the text? Yes, of course there is. They're not named, but what we have here, I'm still missing a warrior, aren't I? Let me go back and figure that out. All right, there's one. Where's my missile weapon? There it is. Come over here, please. And your overseer, naturally. Okay, so Kargul, basically that's what Frodo was turning into. It is clear that it is a power, and this is of course where the original Amdir quest comes from, or the whole storyline of Amdir. One of the first storylines, of course, that most people encounter. It's the first one I remember from the game, because I started with a human, and so started in Bree, and anyway, yeah. So I really like the Amdir plot, and of course the irony of his name, but yeah. So Amdir being stabbed by a Morgul weapon, and then him being eventually wraithified, essentially. That's what they were trying to do to Frodo. Now, of course, the primary difference in how this situation is described in the book and how it's depicted in the game is that Amdir becomes a boss, right? He becomes the Kargul, which not only has gorgeous robes, but also is sets up on his own as like a big boss in the region, essentially. That wouldn't have been Frodo's fate, right? The implication, combination of implication and statements in the text of the Fellowship of the Ring suggest that the purpose of the wraithification of Frodo would be not to make him a boss, but to make him a slave, right? He would be much lesser. Now, presumably, Amdir, the Kargul, is still lesser than the Nazgul themselves, but he would be. They're doing it to pacify him and bring him, with them back to Mordor. Still bearing the ring, I believe. By the way, Frodo. Wraith Frodo would have still been, wraithified Frodo under their control would still have been bearing the ring. But I don't think that they were going to take it. I don't think they can take the ring. That's why they have the Morgul weapons in the first place. Anyway, so, but it certainly makes sense from a game perspective that they would choose to make Kargul. First of all, that they would depict multiple Kargul in the game, right? That it's just a thing that is possible for the Nazgul to do. Not necessarily like every time they fight somebody or something like that, but that it's, if that's a power that they have, it's a power that they would use. I have no problem with that. And certainly the idea of a creature in that position being suborned to their power, it's to me the most moving part of the Amdir story. He's a guy who was a ranger, who was a friend of Aragorn's, and he's turned, essentially, right? And his will is enslaved to the will of the enemy, and he's made to further their ends and stuff. That's really horrifying, and I think that's what it's supposed to convey. And again, enslavement is what was primarily associated with Frodo's wraithification. that his will would become enslaved by theirs. And that's what is depicted, in fact, in the Amdir questline, but just more horribly, right? And then, of course, when we discover who Mordorith, the false king, is, in where is it? Up there. Angmar. Yeah, that's the word. Sorry. Brain. Anyway, you see a similar, kind of phenomenon there, on a bigger scale. But anyway, so I find that, the association with the color red and the nice robes and setting up his bosses, those things don't happen in Tolkien, but they all seem to me to be perfectly sensible and justifiable extrapolations based on what Tolkien said. I never had a hard time accepting those. You're kind of right, Kobold Warlord, that a 3-foot tall wraith, like a 3-foot tall, like a Hobbit Kargul, would have been pretty cute, right? I mean, like, in a blood-chilling and horrifying and deeply tragic way. But yes, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. And so that's why I would say, but I think I already answered the question. Would they get a second chance? No, nobody gets a second chance. Okay, that's not true. Gandalf does. But when the wraiths are destroyed, they're destroyed. It's not that they're getting a second chance after the flood. They're just not harmed. That's why they limp back. Okay. Let's see.
These are desperate times for the
Yeah, I had to kill so many overseers, Huna. It was deeply tedious. Okay, we were beginning to worry that the orcs... Nah, no worries. You are with us once more. That is all that matters. Does hope yet remain? Okay, I will tell you the story of my exploits. Hang on. Let me just tell Leopold here. The orcs' resources have been stripped bare for now. Oh yeah, the burning of the carts. We can only hope that it takes them much time to recover from the blow you have dealt them. Yeah, they'll have a... Ooh. Level 90. Okay. Now 5 levels above the terrain. I think I might freeze him here. I'll do that. Let's see. Where's my thing? There it is. Okay. All right. Turning off XP. Oh, hang on. Quest actions. I did slay a significant number of orcs. Yeah. Oh, this is a quest from turning level 90. In the wake of the Battle of the Hornburg? Dude. Okay. Accept. And remove. Ooh, look, the right click worked. The third time. Remove. Thank you. Okay. All right, Huna. What's the plan? Well, what is this then? Trees against orcs? Are you sure it speaks not of a tree like the one that battered the orc outside our cave? It might. Can't rule that out. You have fared well against their numbers so far, that much is clear. Perhaps you should seek out these hewers and see if you can discover any of these trees they mention. For my part, I would like to believe a tree is just a tree, but this forest teems with queer things. Well, look, we saw a tree coming in and, a Huorn coming in and just wailing on all of those orcs, so you would rather believe that didn't happen? Beba, Leopold, and I are safe for now. We have enough to survive on, and the warmth of this fire soothes our ills. Plus, we brought chairs. Worry not about following your charge. Seek out aid in the forest. I just hope you find it for all our sakes. Does that mean I'm not coming back, Huna? Is this goodbye, then? Okay. Thanks, everybody. Hang on a second. Boy, I have a lot of inventory. Okay, let me get rid of those ripped cloaks. Who needs those? Should clear my inventory at some point. All right. Let's see. What is this? Oh, Mark Acquisition Boost Weekend. How about that? Okay. So this is going to send me deeper into the woods. That's just what I expected. Oh, wait, hang on. I gotta keep... Where's the other one? The Epic Quest... Volume 3, Book 10. That's the one. Find the Glade of the Oldest Ent. Yep. Okay, great. Gotta keep that one on the list. All right. Into the Balewood we go. I've had about enough of this road. Yeah. Thanks, Holgro. Yeah, I did just remember that. Okay. Let us return. Bye, everybody. Bye, overseers. It's been fun. I'm going to continue following the footsteps of Núrzum for a while, which I gather this is where he came from, but that's why I'm really interested in following them, since his footprints so obligingly stick around for a very long time. I thought it might be nice to follow them to their source. Am I going to find their source? Is their source somewhere in the woods? Or in the mountains? Again, I kind of think he's a construct, but how was it done? Bye, Lomore. Oh, you're shy again. I know you're kind of embarrassed because you just got beat by a hobbit. I understand. Okay. Bye. Oh, another hardened orc. That's great. Bye, guys. It's been fun. Okay, no, we're only just hardened orcs from here on out. I guess. Okay. Oh. Look, these guys have built a fire. They're like, enough of these, you know, torch fires things. They figured out that that's not going to keep anybody warm. Oh, this guy made a campfire out of wood troll corpses? Oh, man. That is metal. Oh, man. Okay. Wow. You know, I don't want to commend that orc, but like, yikes. What is up with that? Why is the path on fire? Is there like a stream of gas being emitted from the ground here that's burning? How peculiar. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Oh, I've missed it. Well, I mean, I've passed it. Okay. Hey, look, a backpack. All right, so I think I answered that question. So Ethelwald had another question today. Are we going to get a one-off Riddles of the Dark-esque streams once more of the details of the Amazon show come out? Boy, Ethelwald, talk about questions I have avoided answering. I guess I'll say the only thing I've ever said, what I've said on other occasions about this. There are two realities that I confront when thinking about a podcast about the new Amazon series when it comes out. On the one hand, I do not possibly, by any stretch of the imagination, have time to add another regular stream to my schedule. I, as it is, do 4 regular streams, 4 regular shows. 3 of them every week and 1 of them every 2 weeks. That's Sim Film. I do my Exploring the Lord of the Rings show on Tuesday nights, where the one, of course, where we're going through the Lord of the Rings paragraph by paragraph. I do, and that, of course, also features our Lotro field trip, which is super fun right now because I'm now exploring places I've never actually been before. So that's really fun. We're in the Vales of Anduin. I've never visited the Vales of Anduin before, so I'm going to go to the Gladden Hills. And to make it even more fun, I'm using an utterly incompetent, totally non-skilled, and under-level character who can't even fight. So it's especially fun. Anyway, that's what's happening on Tuesday nights, and then on Wednesday nights I do my Mythgard Academy class, which is it's a series of discussions. It's essentially like a sort of a long ongoing book club. And the wonderful donors and supporters of Signum University vote on which books we discuss, and I discuss them. We've been discussing our way through the History of Middle-earth series, which has been awesome. I mean, that series has been just wonderful. I've loved every bit of it. We just finished recently Morgoth's Ring, Volume 10, so we've now done the first 10 volumes of the History of Middle-earth series. It's a large number of hours. It's probably 300 hours maybe of discussions we've had, which you can find on YouTube. So we're going to be doing, oh look, here's one of their chopping problems. Oh no, they killed an Ent. Oh, that's really sad. Anyway, so oh, that was distracting. Right, so that's what I do on Wednesday night. Oh, and we also intersperse that with intersperse the History of Middle-earth with other books that are elected, with non-Tolkien books that are also elected. And right now, we are discussing Dante's Inferno, not in the original Italian. We're reading it in translation. And that's been really, really fun. We just started that. We just did session 2 this past week. It won't be hard for you to catch up with us if you wanted to join us in that. We're going to be doing like Canto 3 next time. So 3, 4, and 5. So anyway, that's what we're preparing to do there. That's what we're in the middle of. So that's what I do on Wednesday nights. Then of course on alternate Thursday nights I do Sim Film, which is our long-term discussion. We invented the idea long before the Amazon series was a glimmer in Jeff Bezos's eyes, and we've been planning a theoretical long-running episodic screen adaptation of the Silmarillion. Of course, completely theoretical. But anyway, that's what I do. And then, of course, this stream on Fridays. So it means that I'm on the air already at least 8 hours a week and sometimes 10 hours a week or more. Okay, so this one seemed to be running away from the end. The grim scene before you unfolded very recently, but in the distance you can see deep tracks in the snow that could only have been made by Ents and a trail of more slain orcs leading deeper into the forest to the north. It appears the Ents have fled to the north. You should seek them out before any more harm can visit them. I gotta go rescue the Ents? Cool! I assume that was that path I was just following. Oh, wait, no. Or not. Okay, find the Ents. Wow, yeah, that's north, all right. Okay, so anyway, so that's a synopsis of what. So it means I do 8 to 10 hours of live broadcast a week, not counting, of course, time involved in prepping for some of them, and it's a lot. That's a lot of time broadcasting, and especially since I'm also a university president and running a large and startup company, which is in a period of like really exciting expansion. So it's there's a lot, and if I were to try to add another like regular weekly segment, it would be not a great idea. So that's one baseline reality, Ethelod, of my situation. I will get to my other I said there were two facts that are unavoidable. That's the one fact that's unavoidable. Okay. But first, Baralas and Tithanolf. Okay. Hey, guys. You guys have been having problems, I gather.
Not an orc, are you? Come to hack away at us, little one?
The Ent raises a branch menacingly above its head before lowering it as you rush to store your weapons away.
No, I suppose not.
So they say that
we have lost a friend this day. I can only hope that we have gained another.
Well, that's fairly hasty of you, but splendid. Ooh, an instance.
Little one.
Voices. All right, I guess I'll do it all in Ent talk.
I find that the men outside the forest either say too much or far too little. So which is it for you? Too little then, I suppose. We shall see if that does not change, for a great many things have changed here.
That's an interesting confession by an Ent.
The forest has not been chilled such before.
Oh, maybe they can tell me about Núrzum.
Yes, we have had winters, and the cold does yet come, but this goes far beyond a simple changing of the seasons. When Tithanolf and I awoke, nothing was as I remembered it. There were times when I and the other Ents conversed at length, for there was much still to say, and even more time to say it. But now the Enting hollow has frozen solid. Our enemy sets siege to the forest, and Leaflock slumbers, unable to tend the horns. Ah, to be free of such problems, and to think of better times.
He's going to tell more of his tale? Yeah. Days long past? Absolutely. Lay it on me, man. To the Enting hollow. I am so ready to follow. This is fantastic.
Sheltered from the evil that has taken hold of the forest, Baralas wishes to recall the days before Núrzum's coming, when the Ents once met at the Enting hollow.
Yeah, I want to recall that too. Except it still seems to be cold. I was expecting a change of climate, but maybe you're still going to tell me.
We have made it. This forest has become so unfamiliar to me since Núrzum returned. Ah, yes, he was here once before, little one, but then he was different.
Yes! The backstory at last!
What he gained in might, he lost in compassion for the creatures of this realm.
A twisted Ent! Okay, now we're cooking.
Let us walk, and I shall tell you more of Núrzum and the men of these lands.
Do it. I can't.
Walk with me. I can't even see your text. How am I supposed to? Look what has become of this forest.
All right, no offense. I'm going to look on the thing. Right. I'm looking what's become of the forest. Yeah.
The Orcs and the beast Núrzum have taken everything from us.
Okay.
Everything lively struck cold and frozen. Even this pond, little one.
So the pond was called Enting Hollow. Did they come here to swim or something? The Entings?
We Ents once gathered here when the weather was fair, and we feared no monsters in our midst. Such days were a brighter time. My memories of those times flows unstrained. The only thing left untouched in this winter, let me tell you of the days long past. I and the other Ents gathered to meet at Enting Hollow. Flashback! Okay. Alright, here's everybody. Oh, Nindorn, okay. Strongroot, Tithanolf.
So long has it been, my friends. It certainly has. But Nindorn, how joyous that our paths cross again. And of course, to see you. Baralas, Strongroot, Mossbeard, and Tithanolf. Tithanolf, your skill in slumbering through anything will never cease to astound me. I am dearly sorry, my friends. Some things never change.
Oh, boy. Is it not hobbitry when Ents do it to each other? Let's see. Oh, sorry.
I too am glad to look upon you all again, but happenings in the forest have been troubling me of late, as some of you surely know. Yes, indeed. Yes, but what have you to say of them? I am well aware of such things, Strongroot. The men have been coming closer to the forest.
Let us make the terrain more annoying, so they will stay out.
What of them, Strongroot? Mossbeard is right. These men have never risen against us. What have we to fear of them?
Their horn, and the noise it creates, is proving a great trouble to the forest. Their horn?
It frightens the Huorns greatly, my friends.
Their horn? I doubt the men mean anything of it, save to protect themselves, being so tiny as they are.
Would you not seek to do the same? The men will keep to themselves, and Leaflock shall manage, as has always been so. Perhaps, Mossbeard, but perhaps not.
Boy, these are the most loquacious Ents ever.
This horn you speak of does us little harm. Matters of the Ents should concern only Ents, and likewise for these men. Let us avoid unnecessary, unneeded conflicts, my friends. You are right, Nindorn. Such things should not bring forth more trouble for us. My worries are eased.
Eased? Dare you not speak of your other concerns, Strongroot?
The stone giant who wandered about in our forest?
Ah, Strongroot, you were not alone in seeing such a thing.
I thought I was the only one who saw. The giant came down from the Misty Mountains. He wandered long in our forest and journeyed to the lands of men before returning whence he came. As he fled, the horn sounding came again. He had suffered deep wounds. I do not think he shall be seen again, for fear of what the men may do on his return. We should not abide a stone giant in the forest, though, even with careful steps, so much life may be needlessly quelled. The giant's wounds were severe. This is a matter between him and the men. It is not our place to involve ourselves.
You are wrong. There are times when there's no choice but to act, and in your absence I will. Duskleaf sets off intrepidly to act. Wow, boy. Dude's hasty, isn't he?
Even with our conflicts, these memory...
Quick, sorry. Come, let us leave our memory behind. Sorry, even with our conflicts, such times were better.
Come, let us leave our memories behind.
Phew. Okay. All right. Okay. That's really, really interesting. And it explains so much. There are so many things. Holy cow. So, all right, more later. Baralas, continue.
And so, little burglar, you have heard all I wish to say on these matters. Let us return to Stonecliff. Such an open space is a perilous place to remain.
Okay. I love purely narrative instances, I really do.
And so, little one, my tale ends. Let us speak of other things.
Okay.
Duskleaf was right, Gryfflet. I knew my mistake. Well, once Núrzum carved his path under the canopy, I still hold out hope that the forest may be reclaimed, dim as it may be.
What, the forest? No, oh, your hopes.
The men in their horn have paled in comparison to such wanton destruction.
What horn? What horn are you talking about?
Aside from Tithanoff, I have not seen the others since awakening. I cannot help but wonder what has become of them. I worry greatly for Duskleaf. He is quick to action, and if he dared to stand against Núrzum, I fear what horrors might have befallen him. If you would, let us talk of finding the others. It may be that you find such eagerness to aid us misplaced, or perhaps not. We shall see, little one.
Okay.
Hum. I slept long before this winter, little one. This wood has become so baleful, so hostile to my kind. When first I began to sleep, many Ents wandered in this wood, but the monster pulled me from my slumber. Many of us are lost, slain by the forces that defile our forest. Others may have found refuge, or they may have not. I am too large to seek out the others without being discovered by my foes, but you can move through the forest much more freely. If you can, little one, seek out my kindred in the darkness. Perhaps some have returned to Enting Hollow since winter's fall.
I gotta find Nindorn and Strongroot. The other one is the one who was killed, right? The rash, hasty Ent.
This forest is not itself, friend. When Baralas and I awoke from our sleep, we did so in darkness, and we awoke into violence. Such happenings are troubling, and I fear that Finglas cannot wake to aid us, for he has been becoming more and more tree-ish, so to speak, before our sleeping. The wood trolls harry us whenever our limbs carry us in this gloom, and the Huorns, they are unruly, without Finglas's tending. They may be beyond saving, though I do not wish to believe it so. The wood trolls must have been affected by Núrzum's passing. I can only wonder what wounds he inflicted upon them to make them far more hostile than they already had been to my kind. Tithanoff heaves a heavy sigh. Seek out the wood trolls. For the good of this forest, please return them to the earth. However, I would ask that you examine their remains, and perhaps then we can discover what has driven them to madness.
All right, wood trolls. Find the other two living Ents of their little, click here. And, of course, find Leaflock. Very cool. All right, I love that they included Leaflock. Do we get to meet Skinbark, too? Finglas, we're meeting Finglas. Do we get to meet Flodriff? Okay. Now's a good time for the epic. Yeah, I'm thinking of it like in the context of finding the other Ents. Should I do it first before I find the other Ents? You think so? I should find Leaflock before I find Nindorn and Strongroot? Would that be more efficient? Okay. Baleful wood troll. I can... Hi. Can't quite one-shot them, but... I examined his remain. Was apparently performed an inconclusive autopsy on a baleful wood troll. Okay, yeah, it does fit with the story now. I think I'll find the other Ents first, and then I'll go. But it's clearly, we're clearly in this. Oh, yeah, sorry, didn't realize how close I was getting to you there. Oh, and now you're knocking me back. Oh wow, you are feisty.
Okay. I shall now perform a gentle Y incision and... okay. No, nothing conclusive. Oh, yeah, it's just in this area, so I might as well just finish them off here while I go. Okay. I have a feeling... oh, no, I just finished a lore query. Oh, yeah, there was something, Ethelwald, that I wasn't done yet. So I was saying there are two realities about the question of, am I going to do a response show to the Amazon series? Reality number one is that I don't have time. That's an undeniable fact. And here's the other deniable fact. I can't possibly see myself not talking about it. I mean, like, how can I possibly not discuss the new Amazon series when it comes out? Like, I kind of feel like if I don't, do it officially, I'm going to do it unofficially. So, like, what's the point? So I see no way out of that dilemma yet. Maybe I will devise a cunning plan which will somehow, make all things possible. But we'll see. Perhaps it will merely be a sort of moral struggle on my part, that between that which I want to do and that which I should do. I don't know. Maybe I'll find some way to combine it with, other things in some way. I really don't know. Yeah. So it's a puzzler. Ethelwald, and I don't have an answer. True. Pookie Mojo points out that my Tuesday series should be wrapping up soon. That's right. So I guess it depends on the production timing, right? I could replace my Tuesday session as soon as we finish with that. So if Amazon were to take another 25 years to finish making the series, the timing would be perfect. Yeah. Or alternatively, if I finish my completionist journey through Lotro here, very swiftly, in my 2 hours a week, then, who knows? That could, that's of course my other problem, is that every single one of my streams is a very long running, if not literally open-ended. Like the Wednesday night sessions, Mythgard Academy I don't see stopping that anytime soon. That will go on until we run out of books to discuss. Exploring the Lord of the Rings should easily take many years yet, as will Film probably longer, actually. I suspect that Film will outlast Exploring the Lord of the Rings. Oh, yeah, sorry. This is where my quest arrow brought me back to you. Fine, that's fine. There you go. You ask if this is the work of the cold. I have seen many a winter, little one, and this is not the craft of merely a chill in the forest. Yeah, the autopsies were totally inconclusive. So you don't know either, huh? Okay. All right. So sorry, Baralas just headed over now to find your friends. I think I'm going to do the other one first. You know what? Let's not get on my war steed. Can we not do that? I think I've had enough of attempting to ride a war steed around the Balewood. That's what I think.
Okay, if we can have the Mythgard Academy vote on discussing the Amazon show, well, so maybe. Like, on the one hand, I have always welcomed the idea of discussing films or, like, you know, TV series seasons, probably, in the as a part of the Mythgard Academy. I'd be happy to do that, but yeah, it's so I suppose that's possible. But it's going to be very asynchronous, you know? That is to say, I know that what I'm really going to want to do is something more like a reaction show, you know? I mean, I'm going to watch it as it comes out. I'm sure many of you will watch it as it comes out. And I'll want to talk about it when oh, come on, for crying out loud. Anyway, so to like wait until it gets elected, or like, what if we're in the middle of talking about, you know, we're in the middle of talking about, like, you know, volume 12 of the History of Middle-earth when it comes out, and like, I'm not going to interrupt it. So anyway, it's hard. I'm not sure in the end that would fully satisfy. Hi, yeah, Nindorn, good to see you. Could you choose a more inaccessible spot to stand, please? Good grief.
Orcs, trolls, giants, and now a hobbit. What brings you all here to disturb us?
Dude, you're lumping me in with the orcs, trolls, and giants as a disturbance of the peace? Okay.
Baralas, he is awakened? I shall journey to him. But first, little one, I have a task for you.
Okay, Nindorn. Oh, sorry. I was waiting for you to tell me your task.
This winter has been cruel to my kind, Gryfflet. When Núrzum came, many of the Ents remained still in slumber, but those of us that walked among the trees were faced with a great foe of our kind.
Of our kind? How fascinating you say that, Nindorn.
The trees scream to us for help. I hear their cries still. They do not understand. And Núrzum, we were so few we could do nothing to stop him. We fled into the forest. All of us, save for Duskleaf. Such hasty decisions are unbefitting, I think. But he went forth. Núrzum struck him down, but his ending did not come. He fled into the forest and has avoided all of us since.
Duskleaf is still alive? Who was the Ent corpse then? I thought that was Duskleaf.
I would ask that you try to convince our friend to return. Núrzum must be dealt with in time, and we will need all of our kind to stand against him. If Duskleaf is to be found, I would guess he is near the Enting Hollow, little one.
Okay. All right. Who's the dead one then? Huh. Well, I'm perplexed. All right. So where's Enting Hollow? Enting Hollow is okay. It's south of here. Okay, by your leave, Ent, I'm going to jump off the cliff. All right. Now, off we go. Okay. I think it said in the quest text, JJ, that was a dead end. I thought it did. Am I going the right way? Yeah, I am vaguely. All right, I'm looking for an Ent in here. So we'll see. Aye, scenting hollow. Sharp creaking pierces the silence as an Ent lumbers forth. Oh, man. Oh, man. That is not good. Okay. Oh, yikes. His kindly face, his eyes. Oh, no, he doesn't have the eyes of our people anymore. I mean, their people. I'm quoting Treebeard. He's got thorns sticking out of his femurs. That can't be good. His face looks very mean. Oh, man. That's awful. Okay. All right. So, Duskleaf. This. All right. So let me get to some... Do I have time? Yeah. It's time for some commentary on Núrzum now that we've learned about this. Remember, one of the things I've been saying after seeing Núrzum up close several times was... clearly he's not one of the stone giants, right? I've been saying that because, of course, we met the stone giants in the Misty Mountains especially, but in other places too, mostly in the Misty Mountains. Didn't we see them somewhere else? Anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is, we've seen them before, and Núrzum looked nothing like them. I said he looked like a construct made of stone rather than these large humanoid creatures that throw rocks. So there are a couple possibilities here. I have to admit that my first thought was that the developers changed their minds about what the stone trolls or stone giants rather should look like. But this guy now gives me other ideas, perhaps. So this guy seems to be blighted. You can see he's got the cold coming off from him. So there's some sort of evil affliction that is about him. Duskleaf was struck down by Núrzum, right? So he's been affected. He's been impacted in some way by Núrzum. So the leading theory now about the history, the backstory of Núrzum is that he, my question was like whether he was found or whether he was made, right? Is he some kind of big nature spirit that has been corrupted? And it would seem yes, but he has affected the Ent in this way too. That is amazing. How could that happen? How could the free will of the Ent be overridden like that? This is some kind of, wow, that's horrible. So what I'll be really curious to learn as we go through is, and again, the way that he looks is he looks a little Núrzum-esque, of course. Even Dim and Foracal. Yeah, I thought that we saw giants elsewhere. Yeah, so what I'm really curious to see is do the differences, I mean, obviously there are different, he's, twisted and like got ice crystals sticking out of him and stuff, just as this Ent has been twisted. But yet it still seems that sort of the base, if I can guess at what, Núrzum might have looked like when he was still a friendly stone giant, if he was ever a friendly stone giant, before he was made into this frost horror that he has become, he still wouldn't look like the stone giants that we meet in, the Trollshaws or the Misty Mountains. Or anywhere else. Exactly. The rest of them looked like big humans, and he does not look like a corrupted big human. He looks like a large stone creature. So I'm still going with the theory that the developers have decided to change the concept, or, I guess it would be explained in a different way within the world, right? Of like different kinds of giant, different
kinds of creatures, which are both called giants. But he seems to be a nature spirit who is inhabiting a body of stone, and in that sense, a literal stone giant. And therefore different from the other giants that we've seen. And of course, it wouldn't be the first time that within the Lotro context, we see them making a shift over time, right, as the development of the game went on, and I certainly don't grudge them that. Yeah. So, I don't know. So but this is what I'm now interested to see. I think I still have time to talk to poor Duskleaf.
Another little one come to hack at my branches. You dare speak to me of rejoining the others? It matters not where we choose to plant ourselves if nothing is to be done. The forest is death. They are too weak to act. But I am not. I am wont to smother any invader of these woods beneath the snow.
Present company accepted, I assume. Or not.
Yikes!
Okay. Hey, Duskleaf, you're not yourself. And if you smash this ice, we're liable to both fall through, I'd think. But maybe not. Guess it's fairly solid. Fortunately, Duskleaf, I'm pretty over level. I don't really want to hurt you, man. Maddened by the pain Núrzum inflicted, Duskleaf was beyond saving. Oh no, I did kill him? I was hoping he could be saved, that I'd like knock him out and he'd submit. Oh man, that is awful. I've got to tell Nindorn that I had to, like, put him down? Oh man. That's terrible. That is just awful. I know, right? First the walking tree and now this. Yeah, Kobold Warlord. I have forgotten about her. I don't remember very. It's been so long now since I was in Forkel. I remember there were frostish giants there.
So he was lost to madness. Tragic, my friend.
Well, I'm glad you don't hold it against me, dude.
Núrzum's rampage hewed his mind long ago then. You made the only choice you could, little one.
Boy, would he call it long ago? Wouldn't it be like yesterday to him?
As impatient as Quickbeam that one was, but bold nonetheless. I will miss him greatly. Thank you for telling me of these happenings, Gryfflet. I will return to Baralas now.
Okay, Nindorn. Well, thank you for not being mad. All right, he's going to go back and hang out with the others. All right, I got to go soon, but I will find Strong Root. And then I'll stop. I won't do Strong Root's quest. Oops. Okay. You know what? Maybe I can take my regular horse. Let's compromise. I think we can do this. Oh, Madman Modeler, I wish I could continue and persevere and see the story through here. But unfortunately, I am under cruel constraints. Parenting. I have a music lesson to take a kid to. The rambunctious Riolu has his drum lesson, and I've got to get him there. All right, Strong Root, I found him. A frost-touched Huorn. Whoa, hi. Oh, there's a quest ring over there. Is he going for drum corps? No, he's in a metal band, actually. He and his brother, it's the actual Huorn who has the quest ring? Is that the case? No? Let's just see if this spawns a quest. Hi, Mr. Huorn. Yeah, you are hiding a quest ring in your branches. Yeah. So yeah, they're in a metal band, a death metal band, called Nuclear Eternity is the name of their band. Nuclear Eternity. Which is a pretty good name. I think it's a pretty good name for a band. Okay, I've discovered Huorns. Yeah, I was aware, but in Núrzum's wake, they've grown wild and a cruel chill wreathes their branches. They must be defeated for the safety of all that remain in the forest until Finglas can be roused to restore order. Okay. Yeah. It's a pretty good name, isn't it? They came up with that. Yeah. So I was like, that's actually not uncool. Okay. All right. I think I'm going to stop here by Strong Root. And we are moving our way through. We're going to be done with Wildermore before you know it. Okay. Excellent. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining me today. Really fun. Love Ent quests. Looking forward to getting back to finishing the Ent, to finishing up, we'll see. Continuing, perhaps I should say, dealings with the Ent community of the Balewood here. And I appreciate your joining me. I will be back again next week. I was just talking about the other broadcasts that I do. You're welcome to join me if you want to know where to see those things. All of those other broadcasts that I do during the week, other than this one, are on the Signum U Twitch channel, Signum University Twitch channel, twitch.tv/SignumU. So you are always welcome to join me there. You can see the schedule there on the exact schedule there on the Twitch channel. So thanks everybody for joining me, and I will see you guys next week. Bye now. Thanks for joining in on my rambles around Standing Stone's brilliant digital adaptation of Tolkien's world. If you enjoy these adventures, please consider supporting this and other entertaining educational programming by donating at signumuniversity.org/fund.